Connecting. Oops, I forgot.
You forgot. What would Star Trek people think?
That's what they would think.
That's Eastwood for you. Oh, man, yes.
It's a very special day.
Yeah, Mrs. Future here thought that we should start with something innovative for the opening of the show today. And
that's right.
As I get ready to say something innovative, she starts the music anyway. So we talk over the music. Hey, that's innovative, right?
How about just start now?
Oh.
Act like we haven't heard the music yet,
Okay.
and we'll put it in post.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. You forgot. Hi, folks. Welcome to a rather unique show today, as we actually have a live broadcast coming on in the second hour. Very possibly, maybe not, but probably regarding the Starship 6 launch, which is happening in Texas.
That's right. We are huge Starship fans here, and we like to view every live launch. And today happens to be right in the middle of our show. So we're going to take you there.
And Everyday Astronaut covers it really nicely, and we probably clink in with them a little bit.
All right. We're going to go to the live SpaceX coverage right here on Future Now.
Bobby's on the air, too.
Hey, Bobby.
Correspondent in San Francisco.
I'm here. Glad to be here with you.
How's everything in your end of the woods?
It's great. Yeah. Katy is in El Salvador. She's taking a
surfing class in El Salvador.
She's such a wild girl. That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah. The only problem, it's been raining the first couple days, but today's is a good day. So.
You don't surf in the rain? I don't think rain stops a serious surfer. I mean, you're already wet anyway.
That's right. You know, a little rain here doesn't stop her, but there, I guess it was kind of a torrential rainfall.
More like
not a little rain. Yeah.
Did you say El Salvador?
El Salvador, yes. South Mexico. Yes.
Nice. Is it a Bitcoin-funded vacation?
I offered she has some Ethereum, and I said, she got a new phone, and she wasn't sure how to put the thing in.
Yeah, the wallet literacy is going to be the next big wave in digital money.
It's so funny, El Salvador. I mean, our neighbors are from El Salvador.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We have a whole enclave of El Salvadorians.
Really sweet couple, Isabel, who has already been.
Well, they're not living there.
She's naturalized, and her husband is Olivero, and they're just wonderful people. And he's on his way. I think she's pregnant, and they're just very sweet people.
From the area, but they come here and they're helping to build this cabin.
Yeah,
for our neighbor. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, they fixed our generator once. They came by and helped us out with fixing our diesel generator. Believe it or not.
People in South America, Middle America, they're very utilitarian and they can fix cars, they can fix anything, because you're out there all alone and you don't have a parts station, you don't have you have to do everything yourself.
I know. It was very cool. I noticed also they had a power station, not unlike the one you put in at Taylor's up next door too, with 2 of those units from Costco. And it's more powerful than what we have. Our system is the last of the lead acid battery home energy systems. This is lithium ion.
Yes.
Wow, it's really cool.
Lithium iron phosphate. Yes.
Lithium iron phosphate, right. Right, very cool. I'm impressed that you can actually run a whole operation from Costco-bought solar components today.
Yeah, I looked at that sale by Anchor at Costco. So what you have to do is you have to go to the Costco online and make sure you're logged in. And then they have something called Costco Next. And then there's a special portal that you go through and you get a special discount. And they're selling for $10,000 with some solar panels, what Taylor has got. And normally this would cost about $14,000 or $15,000.
Yeah, no, that would be equivalent to like a Tesla wall, right?
Yes, it's equal to 1.5 Tesla walls. Yes.
For about half the price?
For half the price.
And it includes solar panels. And batteries. I mean, the battery is the Tesla wall, but it includes generation as well.
Were you talking around $10,000, something like that for this system?
It's 10,100 or whatever, I guess.
Yeah, but it's a DIY. You have to put it in yourself.
All you need is an electrician. You don't need a solar expert. In fact, a solar expert won't really help you at all.
Who's that? Was that you?
No.
Taylor. Taylor's trying to call me while I'm on.
I see. That's your phone. Okay. Right.
And
so many inputs here. Who's calling?
Just tell him to listen and text if he needs to.
All right.
Yeah.
I know what it's about.
Okay.
Now is the time to get these batteries and solar panels that are coming from China, because there will be sometime next year some tariffs possibly.
Tariffs on Chinese product.
Chinese goods.
Yeah.
So
get ready.
They are priced right now at the best price ever for anything. So plan to do it either at the end of this year or beginning of next year. Make your budget and just check out. It's called the Solix 3800 at Costco.
Solix 3800. It's SOLIX 3800. Yes. Best bang for your buck system that you've seen that could power your house.
Yeah. All you need is find a friend that's an electrician, and they just wire. They have the whole kit, all the batteries, the control panel, the box that does all the brains in it that can figure out when and turn on and off the air.
Right. Yeah, cool. That's great. All in one. Yeah. I think our next upgrade is probably going to be something like that, for sure.
Yes.
Well, thanks for that upgrade. And you
how many megawatts do you get out of it? Is it like a 2, 10? Any idea? Kilowatts?
It's 7.5 kilowatts per grouping. So there's 2 groupings. So I think it's closer to 15 kilowatts.
So that's more than a Tesla wall.
Yeah, it's more than a Tesla. Tesla walls are 10 kilowatts. 10. So this is 1.5, like I said.
Yeah, that's what we talked about earlier.
All right, 15K. Wow, great.
Yeah.
KW.
The best deal in town. Plus, the best deal in town for computers right now.
And for personal redundancy when the grid goes down, right?
Yeah.
Who's that? Uh-oh. That's local. That's your computer, my dear. That's happening on your computer.
That feedback?
Does he not realize that we're live?
Yeah,
He's just calling and shouting.
What did you say, Taylor?
The deal at Costco no longer exists.
So it's no longer at Costco?
Costco's selling a competing brand now. They're not selling the Anchor anymore. They're selling EcoFlow.
EcoFlow, isn't that not as good?
I don't think they're as good, the EcoFlow. I don't like them. Also, make sure everybody knows that the M4 Mac Mini is for $500 at Costco, and the M4 Pro Mac Mini is for $1,270 at Costco, and through December 2nd.
And those are the 2 best deals of computing of the century so far, huh?
That's right.
If you happen to have
I would buy
an extra...
the M4 for $500. That's a steal.
Yeah. The M4 is a significant improvement for the non-Apple people over the M1s, M2s, M3s.
Not over the M2 Pro, but over the M1 and M2.
Over the M1, yeah. So if you have an M1 or M2, it's worth the upgrade?
Right.
Okay, cool.
For $500 especially.
$500 for it's a Mac Mini. Right,
that's Mac Mini, M4 Mac Mini. It's an incredible deal. It's a steal.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. We have one. We have one. We have the M1. Mrs. Future uses the M1.
Get the M4 Pro for $1,270.
Okay. So it's really
for video editors.
Video editors. Yeah.
You're so funny. You get vicarious thrills from your friends buying the latest deals.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad somebody does. Right. You should get it. It's really good. Yeah.
Well, it's true.
Everybody's clear on that they're not going to find that Anchor deal at Costco anymore.
Yeah, that's very thoughtful of you, Taylor. I appreciate that.
Oh, right. Yes, that's right.
Watch, he'll just come in now.
Okay.
The deal is $4,000 for the Anchor 3800 plus 1 external battery.
Yeah.
So it's $8,000 for 2 of those. Then $2,000 for 8 solar panels is what I paid.
Okay,
so it's $10,000 total.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's around a $10,000 investment, which which is
labor plus the installation.
Yeah, that's right. And you had an electrician, you had Bobby, and you had Free Energy Bob.
Oh yeah. Bobby and Bob put the holes in my floor and changed the wiring. Yeah, for $1,000.
Yeah, so expect to pay at least that, right?
Hey, expertise. It'll cost you.
Yeah.
You want somebody else to do it? They got to make a living.
It was still a steal. You're probably not going to be able to find the regular person out there is probably not going to find such a deal.
Are you totally running off the grid now, or are you just using
Taylor,
it off the...
And also, I really want you to smile. Otherwise, I'm going to drop your volume. Thank you.
I'm running off the grid during peak hours.
Okay, so you saved the hyper expensive...
I saved $45 so far.
That's 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Over a 2-month period.
That's the 4 to 8 p.m. timeline? That's when,
4 to 9.
That's when PG&E charges you the most? 4 to 9,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, but I don't have the solar panels on the roof yet. See, so that's still yet.
So you're just recharging from off-grid time.
Yeah, I'm running on the regular grid from 9 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Oh, so
the batteries
I see.
recharge
I see. So volume
off grid.
Okay,
off
thanks.
Peak.
Okay, what's interesting now is it looks like when we brought in your channel, everything got really low on the network.
Oh, really?
Okay, yeah.
So, am I blowing your feed?
You're blowing our feed. So we got to go. But
Okay.
so thanks for the info, Taylor.
All right.
Okay.
Just want to make sure everybody didn't get misguided. Okay. They can buy direct Anchor.com.
Anchor.com will still do it.
Yeah, the Black Friday Anchor.com deal is the same deal that was at Costco.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you later. Okay. So let us check in for a second on Starship and see what's going on there.
Oh, is it time?
Well,
It's
no,
still a
take a
little
look.
early.
What is the worst case scenario for Flight 6? Apologies if this has been asked and answered. No, I mean, I haven't actually heard it this time. Great question. Again, get your questions out now because we still got an hour of watching paint dry of filling up a rocket with propellant.
Okay. So that's where it's at right now. Okay, we have nothing to worry about. You're just watching paint dry as they fuel the rocket. It takes an hour to fill this thing. Yeah. We got a lot of stories to cover. But the thing to watch for on this one, besides the landing with the chopsticks, is that it's going to try to go higher than ever before. They're looking at how they can not just catch it, but put it in a higher orbit. Mm-hmm. They're also testing the heat shields. They're looking at how to maneuver the craft to get back in re-entry properly.
Cool.
But in the interesting rocket department is that there was a success with the USC Rocket Propulsion Lab, where they set a record for a college-created rocket called Aftershock 2.
Oh, yeah. They're very proud of this. It's a new record for non-government space flight.
Yeah, 470,400 feet, new records, like 90,000 feet more than the old record. That's 143 kilometers, almost 100 miles. It's beyond the Kármán line, the 65-mile line that denotes space. It was carefully planned by the USC Viterbi School of Engineering Rocket Propulsion Lab, USC RPL. They are students that are designing and building rockets that push the limits of what's possible. They had about 100 students work on it. And with that verified altitude of 470,400 feet, it's the highest flying rocket by a non-governmental agency. And you know where it took place?
Nope.
Black Rock Desert.
Oh, our old favorite, huh?
Burning Man.
Burning Special.
Yeah, remember Black Rock Desert? Well, besides Burning Man, it's apparently a very popular zone for flying amateur rockets.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a big rocket.
13 feet.
Yeah, it's rather big for any student or
For anybody who's interested in doing model rocketry as a kid using Estes Industries rockets, yeah, it's a big deal. 13 feet. But it's not a big deal when it comes to comparing it to an Electron or some of the other small rocket company entrees into the payload business. It's not just aerospace engineering students either. It's mechanical engineering students, and there are students there that know propulsion and fuel combinations and electronics geeks. And
Well, what's so interesting is that
scientists.
there's 100 people associated with this rocket club down at UC.
Yeah.
And some of them are majoring in aerospace. This is really the
Yeah.
sign of the times.
It's a whole range
If you want a
of
new
people.
engineering job,
Chemical engineers even.
launch a rocket.
There's something for everybody. Yeah. Everything. The titanium-coated fins using a new heat-resistant paint that they had to design. They built their own computer systems to enable real-time tracking of the rocket's position and giving you live data as it travels through space.
Yeah.
And to integrate that data was part of the process of learning for all these students in their respective fields. What's interesting about a rocket launch is that it gives you a sense of completion and fullness. You have a planning stage, you have launching, you actually see how it actually works, and then it comes back or not, and it's a constant learning process all the way through.
You were in a rocket club at one point, weren't you?
I started one. Yeah. The Apollo Rocket Club. Yeah.
Did you launch some rockets?
Of course we did.
How high were your rockets?
Well, they weren't very high. I was like sixth grade, all right? It was a sixth, seventh grade. And we lost many, but we launched them from the local park. Yeah, in Philadelphia.
Oh, cool.
And I also found out that nichrome wire doesn't work very good in sub-freezing weathers. And that you can't launch an Estes Industries rocket with nichrome wire when it's below 32 degrees
Oh.
Fahrenheit.
What happened?
Things you never forgot.
Well, the whole thing of model rockets is that they wanted to make it safe by using electricity rather than matches to launch a rocket or fuses. Right. And so the technology works like your toaster. It's got a wire that turns red hot, and then it launches the rocket. You stick it up the rocket's nozzle, and it's a little curl. The best ones are little coils of nichrome. And you stick it up there, and you hook it up to a battery, flip the switch, and poof, off it goes.
Right.
But when it's really cold, your battery's not putting out enough juice. And I think the little rocket launcher they sold us used like AA batteries to heat up the nichrome wire. What you need is a car battery, but who's going to carry a huge, massive car battery near a kid out to the park?
Learn by doing, right?
Yeah. So we'd end up. My brothers and I would carry the car battery. Fortunately, when we moved to another place, we had a field nearby where we could do it. It was easier, much easier than carting a battery a couple miles to the park. What we found, though, is that you could take some fuses out of firecrackers and pull the fuses out of the firecrackers, stick one in the rocket, and the other end, you could light it. And that worked just fine. And so that was a solution for cold weather, was firecracker fuses. Which was strictly, not supposed to do that. It was like, don't be a basement bomber, they used to say. But it worked. It
they
worked
had
really
you
well.
guys
Simple.
all figured out.
Well, they didn't count on the ingenuity of teenagers in finding the path of least resistance and getting something accomplished. The fuses were designed to light fireworks, right? So, of course, they're going to light a rocket engine. Perfect for that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's why you got into the biz.
So the only thing is that they can burn fast, they can burn slow. You don't have as much control over a firecracker fuse as you do over a nichrome wire.
Oh.
Or so we think.
Well, this is so valuable, all this information.
I don't know.
And yet, do you think anybody down at UC has any idea of any of this stuff?
Of course they do. These guys are.
Yeah, you
are
think
into
your
rockets,
knowledge is
see?
pretty state-of-the-art?
Yeah, it's pretty standard. It's pretty standard for teenager geeks who are. Well, Bobby probably knew about fuses and rockets.
Yeah, I almost blew myself up.
See, he knows more than I do. I never got that far.
Well, yeah, somebody gave me some gunpowder, and
Yeah.
I was trying to put a timed fuse on it, and it was had it in a coffee can, inside of a coffee can, and I used one of those fuses, just like you said, for firecrackers and stuff.
Yeah.
I had a candle, so I was going to light the candle, and then the candle was supposed to burn down to where it would get to the fuse, and then it would light it off. As I lit the thing, the firecracker fuse went off. I had to
you had to run
to the ground.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I had a glass jar with holes in it, and one of the fuses went into it. And I was expecting this huge, bomb to go off with glass shrapnel or something. But actually, all it did was go pop. And because there wasn't enough, I didn't wrap it with tape. Or I didn't make it with a pipe bomb or anything.
Pressure, yeah, right.
Man.
There wasn't any pressure, so it just popped off the top of the thing, and it just went pop.
I wonder if there's an age line where the typical kid would have this kind of knowledge. Like, I think in our era, it was pretty common that there'd be somebody who was experimenting with rockets and, typical pyromaniacs. And now kids will think that you're a terrorist if you're playing with that kind of thing.
Oh, it's pretty standard. If you mix iodine with, crystals, you get these
standard chemistry
dynamite.
sets. I'm not even sure you can buy those standard chemistry sets anymore. I think that they have safety chemistry sets now. You can't blow anything up.
That's right. That's right. Explosives is a black art. Literally, it's gone dark.
Well, you have to get licensed now. You have to get a security clearance.
No, it used to be you could buy dynamite.
Abuse your power.
You could buy dynamite at the local hardware store.
C5 just sitting on a shelf.
Oh, not C5, but dynamite.
Yeah, what do
stuff
I know?
that you had to blow up some tree stumps on your property, stuff like that. It was pretty standard in Canada, and here, in the woods and stuff like guns. That whole knowledge base. It still
Handling
exists,
your
and
power.
it's just not as much in California or in civilized society. People don't think about explosives that way anymore.
Interesting.
And it's because it's got a bad rap. But explosions actually power our cars. Explosions power their rockets. It's controlled explosions. We've gotten good at controlling that energy, the explosive force, and creating all these cool machines out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And also...
Well, I'll tell you, these students at UC are totally excited. They're celebrating their accomplishment to set a new record. They've gone as far as they can go legally. In order to go further, they would have to get some kind of space
490,000 feet, I think, is all you're allowed. 490,000 feet. If you're into model rocketry.
Feet or kilometers?
Feet.
Feet, 490,000. And they went 470,000.
Yeah. So
okay.
They're just they need special clearances to go beyond that. I guess that's where you need to have enough capacity to actually launch a rocket and...
Yeah, it got over 5,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, and it's not just unregulated space anymore. Now, when you send something up, you have to have a plan for getting it down again.
Oh, right. You're not allowed to just contribute to the space junk.
Right.
Can't put things in orbit anymore.
Yeah, so you have
without
to have
permission.
And have a plan. You have to have the technology to move your rocket or your satellite into a dead orbit or out of the way place.
Interesting.
Where,
You know, probably
or
with the
deorbit it.
AIs becoming useful at the same time as we're starting to explore space, the way that we put things in space with all kinds of data around where it is and how big it is and how fast it's going, and the space being more vast than the ocean, it may get us into the habit of identifying the objects that are going into the ocean in such a way that we can avoid pollution in the ocean as well as in space. Like the AIs would be working the same way.
Yeah, why not?
Just like packet switching for data gave us insights about how to do traffic control.
Well, certainly the space information is helping us see the health of the oceans much better than before.
Right.
So it only makes sense that if we deorbit things into the ocean, that they're ultimately good for the ocean, not polluting for it. Or they could inject something into the ocean there that would be helpful.
I'm just starstruck at how our increased access to information, which this computerized age of information has given to us, has both been a blessing and a curse. Because, say, in the Obama era, because of the satellite photographs that were taking pictures of, I'm just trying to say that a while ago, when we were still in the innocent phase of the information universe, the new universe, you had people like Obama saying war is obsolete because we can see every centimeter of the planet. And of course, then the war machine kicked in, and it suddenly became important to guard our privacy so we can have a surveillance state and so we can keep our secrets. And instead of all of this vast information being a public utility, it turned into a power grab. And that's the phase that we're in right now, is how to control access to all of this power of information. Meanwhile, we're still getting more information than we know what to do with, and that's why we're developing AIs, so that they can help us make sense of all this extra data about our planet.
We have a couple stories on that topic, from how to make sense out of thousands and thousands of police cameras, body cams they're wearing now, and how they're not using that information and how it could be better utilized, for example.
Of course, the one I liked better was the one about studying the ionosphere with all the Android phones.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's a great citizen science project. Hey, why don't we talk about that after the break, though?
Okay.
Do that, because that's fascinating. It's a citizen science program where if you're an Android user, you can participate in a major study of the upper atmosphere.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay tuned, folks. Let's have a little music on our way to Santa Cruz business.
Experience the extraordinary. Travel with Shen Yun to discover 5,000 years of wisdom, beauty, drama, and humor live on stage. You're not just watching a performance. You are witnessing a culture reborn. Come see what the modern world has never seen. The beauty and wonder of China before communism. Coming to San Francisco, San Jose, and Berkeley, starting on December 26th. Shenyun.com/CA. SHENYUN.com/CA.
Bring an extra helping of happiness to your holiday season with the fresh and fragrant Lions Club Christmas tree. When you light up the tree, your family will smile all the way to January. So bring the happiness. Pick up your tree from 10 to 7 at the Lions Club lot, Portuguese Hall near Costco. All proceeds go to help those in need in Santa Cruz. So bring the happiness. Don't delay. Trees are first come, first serve.
You need a clean, pleasant space to conduct business, but you don't want the burden of a long, expensive lease. Your solution is Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on Soquel Avenue. Satellite offers private offices, meeting and conference rooms, even co-working by the hour, day, week, or month. Schedule a tour at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
When you need help managing your estate, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a will or a trust, a guardianship or a conservatorship, or if you are managing the financial affairs of a loved one, I will help you with over 7 years' experience working in estate planning and probate fields.
When you need help, call on the Angel, attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
Cannabis is one of nature's most beneficial plants. Hello, I'm Jenna. Treehouse Dispensary, we use information about cannabis to build community. Listen to Carly.
Thanks, Jenna. For those who wake up in the middle of the night, Treehouse suggests a THC CBN chocolate edible blend like Sleepy Time from Sensi Chew. Sleep the night away.
For answers to your cannabis questions, ask your friends at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 Soquel Drive in Soquel. Order online at ourtreehouse.io and pick up at our drive-thru. See you soon.
Hi, folks. How many of you out there love to garden? Wouldn't it be nice to grow some of your own food? Or maybe a flower garden would brighten your day. All you need is the Knox Garden Box, a heavily constructed, portable, elevated garden on legs that can virtually change the way you've gardened in the past. The Knox Garden Box can be set up anywhere. Yes, you can place it right on concrete at knoxgardenbox.com. That's KNOX, gardenbox.com.
Okay, we are back, and we have a text in. Looks like it's for you, Bobby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's to us as well. Hey, Futures, is this the sale you're suggesting? 2X Anchor Solex F3800, 7.68 kilowatts / to 12 kilowatts, smart home power kit, plus 2 400-watt solar panels, Anchor US. It's at anchor.com. I guess it is. It sounds pretty much...
That was the deal that Costco had, and then it switched over to anchor.com so anybody can buy it. And they have
right.
35% off sale for Black Friday, but it's already started.
Okay, yeah, it says $6,799, $4,334 off. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 400-watt panels. Wow, and 2 of the units.
That's a very good deal. Just find an electrician that will actually put these. It's a 100-watt sub panel into your house, and then they just wire over everything that in an emergency would run through this 100-watt sub panel, and then you're ready to go.
So, son, you were going to tell us about this citizen science project involving androids on a world basis to report on the health of the atmosphere.
Yes.
Is that right?
So this is a classic AI application. So we've got a Google AI developer whose last name is Morton, and we've got an atmospheric scientist. The two of them came together to use space data on the solar radiation that can identify how the ionosphere looks. So we can have a map of the highest layer of the atmosphere, the ionosphere, which is the layer where the colors of the aurora borealis are. It's where the light gets absorbed.
Yeah, ionosphere is also important for radio propagation.
Yes, and so basically the ionosphere distorts the signals that are coming in, but until now, we didn't have a good way of correcting for that distortion.
So you have radio signals going to your Android over the Wi-Fi, or I guess it's the quality of the phone signal going to your phone.
So basically what's happening is that your phone can receive data. It is tuned to all kinds of different frequencies. And so when it gets certain frequencies, it can send out a little message, kind of the way that Waze will send out information about your location so your car can be put on a map. And so this is
GPS.
Using your phone so that it's collecting 2 different frequencies of solar radiation. And when all of the Android phones are used to broadcast these 2 little frequencies of solar radiation, the distortion of the ionosphere can be corrected. And therefore, we have a very accurate map of the ionosphere because all of these little androids have put in a little blip of data about it.
Wow.
They've corrected the distortion.
Yeah.
And there's a really good video about it, mapping the ionosphere.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how exactly they get the phones to tune into the ionosphere. These 2 frequencies are generated by who? And
okay, so the people doing this are using the GPS sensors that come standard in every smartphone, and they collect data on how the Earth's atmosphere signals are coming from satellites. So it's actually getting satellite data, but that's going through the ionosphere. And in the process, they are viewing what's happening in the atmosphere. They call them little plasma bubbles, never before seen detail. So because of the phones being able to use their GPS location and to see these 2 satellite signals, they're basically triangulating how much the signal was distorted by the ionosphere and
and the signal distortion is going to be
GPS.
different for every phone.
Right.
And the phone reports its signal.
Yeah, and so all of these phones are reporting their distortion data and then being used to correct where the satellites actually were when they sent the signal. And then that correction is actually a map of the ionosphere.
That's interesting. It reminds me...
AI doing the data.
It reminds me of ham radio.
Does it?
It does, because they're geeks, so they don't really usually say much to each other other than the weather and what they're having for dinner. And, oh, yes, and your signal quality and how good it is. They said, you're coming in good 5x9 there, 5x9. You have different measurements of how strong your signal is, the signal-to-noise ratio kind of stuff. And you associate that with where they are.
Yeah.
So he said, we got a good skip to Moscow this evening. So if you want to try to do some long-distance connection, DXing, try focusing on that area. So you'd get reports on the ionosphere and how it was behaving for skips especially, so that you would be able to reach remote destinations more easily, more likely during certain skip times. So the ionosphere was a great map for that kind of information. But it sounds like they're looking at the ionosphere as being way more useful than just
that level of detail, you basically knew the difference between what was happening at night and what was happening during the day, right? There are certain times of day that you could get better signals from further away, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and so this is related to that, but it's much more granular in the detail. They're literally doing micro measurements of signal distortion from all the androids. This information is not personalized. It's just that this is because all the androids are equipped to have GPS information. They all have access to this particular feedback loop. It's just using the feedback loop instead of to map the phone itself. It's used to measure the distortion of the satellite signals so that you can map the ionosphere that did the distortion. Very counterintuitive, very computer brain in its logic. And yet that's the level of resolution that we are accessing now in our technological universe.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, we got an Android. Maybe we should plug into that network. Because we've got many iPhones too. But let's put our Android. Right now, our Android is being used for getting text feedback from you folks at 338-7228, 831-338-7228. You can text us. And that deal that I talked about, that was a good deal, but according to Taylor, that's not the deal he was thinking of. He's saying his deal was 3800s plus the external battery for $4,000, not the 3,800 plus solar panels.
All right, well,
So anyway, that's
let's keep looking at some of these articles here.
Let's do it. We don't have
so
that much
many
time.
Great stuff.
I like the
AI.
robo-taxis. I like the fact that Waymo is now open to anyone who wants to drive a driverless ride in Los Angeles as well as San Francisco. I think that's a huge break.
Give Waymo a shout.
Yeah, Waymo opened this Tuesday. They opened a robo-taxi service to anyone in L.A., which is another milestone in the evolution of self-driving technology.
I guess it was only private, like Google test people were allowed.
And San Francisco was one of the first cities, which is cool. It's here. And now Los Angeles. So that's really hitting the mainstream.
All right. We're looking for stories. If people have any Waymo stories, we're very
I
interested.
saw one the other day. I saw one. It was one of the late night talk show hosts had his mother-in-law being picked up, or actually they did a prank on her where the driver said he had to go take a leak, and he left the car and it took off with her in the back seat. She freaked out. They caught her freak out on camera, and they put it on.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So it took off without him?
Yeah. She's like an 83-year-old lady. He came by as a normal cab, to give her a ride, and he said they stopped at a convenience store where he had to use the restroom. Then the cab just took off by itself, and the lady saying, "What the hell?" And she could talk on her phone, and they had a conversation with her while she was being freaked out. And
that's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, so that was L.A. That was
boy.
That's the guy who does ABC.
Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah.
It sounds like a Jimmy Kimmel joke.
Yeah, she was pissed off at him, boy.
I bet. Outrage. Outrage is the new comedy.
Yeah, when a car takes off by itself with you in the back seat.
Well,
man.
That was in Silicon Valley originally.
Yeah, well, originally, it's still not used to it. But what they're finding, though, is that people get used to it really quickly. It's almost natural. It's like, well, of course we have a driver for where we want to go. Like it used to be only the very rich could afford that, but now Waymo is making it a regular taxi service. So.
Oh, that lady could have really used her Apple AirTag. She probably needed to use her Apple AirTag for that.
Calm down, yeah.
Right. Was another article we have. I'm trying to segue, get through faster.
I have a Waymo story.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Did you know that just down the street from me, in the middle of the night, like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, these Waymo cars, they don't have a garage that they drive to. On this one block, there's this Waymo, and it just parks itself there. And then it has little red lights that are blinking, and it's just like falling asleep. It sleeps until the very morning where it's asked to work again.
Oh, so it literally goes into a sleep mode, huh?
Yeah, and it parks itself. I noticed it doesn't always park in the same spot, but it finds other spots to park.
Interesting.
And it doesn't have a garage to go to.
It doesn't have a charge zone either then, huh? It's just
the projection of people who are developing the future vision is that these battery-operated vehicles will be fleets of cabs that drive around and take email requests or take online requests to go pick people up, and they don't need to find parking places. They just need to keep going from passenger to passenger, and it's going to take the place of everybody owning their own car.
Yeah, I mean, if you can easily just call up a car and take you where you want to go, you don't necessarily have to have a car or have to deal with the hassle of parking and driving. You just go. So it totally makes sense. And they say it's actually proving to be more than just a novelty with these driverless rides. Waymo now transports more than 150,000 weekly trips in its robo-taxis. That allowed them to raise about $5.6 billion from its corporate parent Alphabet. A list of investors, big investors, Andreessen, Horowitz, T. Rowe Price. It's maturing quickly.
Well, now that Tesla's leaving California, big opening for Google.
Well, it doesn't mean they're leaving the California market.
That's true, just their headquarters.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are these days.
Autonomous driving can happen
the rules
anywhere.
of the area that you can agree to. Google's been working on it since 2009. And they spun off from Google in 2016 as Waymo, and they're clearly the leader in the robotaxi industry. We also have the robotaxi air taxis here in Santa Cruz with
Joby.
Yeah, Joby
Avionics.
Aviation. And they're taking off in that arena. But the Tesla is also launching their rival Cybercab service by 2026. That's all unfolding.
That's software.
Yeah.
That's just a software upgrade.
Yeah, if you're not using your Tesla, a full auto drive, I imagine you could probably rent it out Let
There
it
you go.
pimp it out for you.
Need to cover those payments. Get some robo customers.
You don't feel like working? Well, how about your car?
That's right. Put your car to work for you.
Yeah. What do you say?
Solving that problem. It's gotten so easy to take money out of your bank account. Finally, you're going to be able to automate putting money into your
I think
bank
so.
account.
I think that's the big transition, is that where the robots not just are services that we pay for, but they provide us the service of making money for us.
Yeah, but you'll have to own more than one robo-car. You'll have to own a whole fleet. Otherwise, you won't be able to make much income beyond how much it costs.
Elon suggested that, I think, as one of the potential entrepreneurial activities, is that instead of driving a car, you'd control a fleet of cars as one person.
Yeah, he probably wants to sell them to the car rental agencies because it's going to put them out of business.
And it's a whole thing to be in charge of robo-taxis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a business, right? It's
Right.
Literally, it can be.
Yeah. So, taxi drivers, here's your future opportunity. Get ready to be a fleet dispatcher. Keep your cars in working order.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, Tesla did put Hertz out of business.
Oh, really?
No kidding. I didn't hear that before.
Well, what happened was Hertz had bought all these Teslas, and then the rental car market actually collapsed, and they did not want to
Wow.
Tesla because they didn't know how to drive them.
10 seconds, man.
Hey, we got to go to the news break. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back.
All right.
And since we were talking about robo-taxis, there's a group of scientists that have created little
Mini cars.
Mini cars to be driven by mice. Right?
Look at that.
Driving mice, rats. Excuse me, bigger mice.
Ratmobile.
Yeah, Ratmobile.
Hilarious.
A woman neuroscientist, Kelly Lambert, was running at the University of Richmond.
Lambert.
Hey,
Hey,
Lambert,
some relation
yeah.
to you, maybe.
Maybe,
You got
yeah.
Lamberts in your family.
Yes, that's true. Now, the study began in 2019 when her and her team began designing little tiny cars for the rodents. They were exploring how animals learn new skills and how environment affects behavior. It got a lot of attention in 2022, and it was even in a Netflix documentary.
Uh-huh.
What was interesting was that the rats didn't just tolerate the training for a reward, but they appeared to actually enjoy driving.
Oh, right.
They actually enjoyed the process. They found that the rats had an intense motivation for their driving training. Often they'd run into the car and rev it up and take off and hit the road doing wheelies, you know. So they liked the speed, they liked the motion, they liked the whole experience.
Wow.
Yeah, so somehow rats love to drive.
Uh-huh.
And they were apparently so excited about it, it's tantamount to like you coming home and your dog getting you the leash for him so you can take him for a walk. You know, come on, let's go.
That's great. The three driving trained rats would run to the side of the cage, ready to take a drive.
That's right. And they're not just to get the treat at the end when they hit the finish line, it's to get actual joy of driving itself.
Wow.
Which worries me about the autonomous vehicles.
Oh, there goes our joy of driving, huh?
I know, right?
We're going to not have our people jumping up for the thrill of driving anymore, huh?
Yes, there's something about actually driving that's a thrill, that's exciting, and we've got to figure out.
True, I love it.
Not to
We're in
let
the
go of
golden
that.
age of driving here.
Yeah, there's a certain. Maybe we can drive something.
Well,
else
I think
that,
like everything else we've mastered, books or the one-off experience is going to be for the connoisseur. And the mass experience is going to just become more and more efficient and be used more and more by people who it's not their cheap thrill. Right?
Yeah. Well, there's mass transportation, and then there's the thrill of driving. And that's true. It's only like maybe 1% that really need to drive at any one time because of that basic thrill. But so 99% of the time, it's not an issue.
Right.
But that 1% of the time, maybe you can, while you're in your car, or you could be driving some simulator.
Yeah. Similar. Well, now that cars are going to be driving, that'll free us up to get
do
better
something
about
else.
robots.
Right.
We can spend more time with our robots since we don't need to worry about our cars.
Yeah. The car itself, the internal car, I think Waymo and Tesla are playing with that. If they have no pedals and no steering wheel, then it becomes more like a traveling office space.
It's like a train.
Or a living
People
room.
aren't afraid to get on a train.
Or you could have beanbag chairs and have more of a living room kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Put you into a virtual reality. all kinds of possibilities. The rats found their brains stimulated. They had a sense of satisfaction and gratification from driving. And so it got them thinking, the Lambert team, about the science behind the fun.
And
And
they're studying rat emotions.
yeah, about movement and travel and moving in time and space, but not moving the body. The body stays still as you move your vehicle. Right? So they're looking at all those things, and they're looking at how learning new skills can stimulate the brain and how animals, like us, actually find joy in mastering challenging tasks like learning to drive. Like if you're excited about
Well,
something,
I'll tell
and
you,
you're
I think
thrilled about
people
something,
would really
you
be
learn
much
better.
more fond of rats if they only had to deal with rats in cars. If they had little rat-mobiles, and anytime you saw a rat, it was in its own little rat-mobile, people would probably like rats better than they currently do.
Well, it depends on what they did with their vehicles. They might
People
be,
don't like seeing wild rats in their home.
yeah. I think rats might more tendency to be aggressive drivers. And they would think nothing of going next door and raiding their refrigerator over there.
Oh,
or
there you
kitchen
go.
And come back with the goods here.
Sure.
You really got to understand. You help them transcend their limited scarcity-based model of behavior. As
There's
Peter
lots of
Diamandis might
neighbors
say.
you can invade,
Yeah.
not just me.
No, they got to teach them abundance training. There's enough to go around. They don't have to scrap.
Are you sure
for-
you're not working for the rats?
No, I'm saying that if you're going to create an abundant economy for humanity, you got to think of the other animals too. You know, if you're going to upgrade our survival strategies.
Our survival leads
And-
to more survival for them.
Yeah, we got to, truly abundant thinking involves the entire ecosystem, don't
Good
you think?
point. Good point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm content if we just like the animals better. We don't need to, increase them raiding our food supply. No.
Give them raid mobiles or they can use for checking out the neighbors.
I like that idea, actually.
Yeah.
What if we introduce cats and dogs in this rat-mobile?
Well,
Oh,
I've
yeah?
seen dogs that really enjoy skateboarding.
Dogs would probably like to drive. Cats, they like to be driven. They'll have their first autonomous.
They just want a soft, comfortable
Yeah.
seat in the autonomous vehicle.
They don't mind telling it where to go, though. They don't want to have to
No, you don't have to
drive.
tell.
Yeah,
Cats do not need to instruct. A cat wants to go where the sun is shining. When they want to go where the
They want
heat
it
is warm.
They want the living room experience.
They want the cush. They want to walk on your keyboard. We
Right.
already know
I
where
think-
cats want to go.
Yeah, they probably prefer not to even have to deal with a keyboard.
That's right.
Just
They
walk-
want your attention. No, they
Yeah.
want you to stop dealing with the keyboard.
Exactly.
They'll
Exactly.
step
Get what's
on it
real.
to stop you.
They're an example of emotionally driven creatures.
That's right.
And that's what they're saying here in the study, is that if you link an emotion to something you like to learn, like driving, if you enjoy driving and it's emotional, then you're going to more likely do it because it has that emotional hook in it.
You do not need a science
Yeah.
research paper to
Tell
me
you that?
Yeah.
You don't need a PhD to figure that out?
No.
Okay.
I think that's a little self-evident.
There are dogs that love to go driving in cars, and they
Yeah.
like to have their heads out the window, and
Mhm.
they really enjoy being in a car.
Being a passenger, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. There, you do bring up the point that being a good passenger is every bit as thrilling as driving for
Mm-hmm.
many.
And that there's a wide variety of personalities. Some dogs are afraid of it, and some dogs can't wait for more.
Yeah. So I think dogs should be part of the ecosystem. As a matter of fact, I would think that they would have their version of a Segway, four-legged Segway. They should have a moving platform that they control. And I think the Segways, there's two-wheeled contraptions that 20 years ago they thought that would become the new norm form of transportation on the planet. Not. But they're cool. They're cool. And Greg and Richard have them, and they used to use them all the time. Probably not so much these days. But the animals would probably love having conveyance of that sort. Remember the turtle that would ride on a skateboard? So turtles seem to like to move fast as well. So I think we're finding out a lot about animals when we give them access to some of our transportation technology in this case.
No doubt.
Yeah. Air tags. We have air tags in the news.
Yeah, just a quick little thing on AirTag.
I just changed the battery on an air tag.
That's why we're so attuned to AirTag. So
That's right. The batteries actually die.
yeah, so Bloomberg says that a new AirTag is coming out next year, and it's going to be the AirTag 2, currently codenamed Model B589, and it will have better range, improved wireless chip, and improved privacy, because apparently people have been using AirTags to stalk people. So they're going to interfere with your ability to stalk and make it so that it's easier for you to find.
Now you like AirTags, right?
I am dependent on AirTags. My purse has only been lost when the AirTag battery died for the last couple of years, I'm happy to say.
And how often did you find you actually lost your purse?
Well, how often do I use my
your
AirTag? I use it at
purse,
least once a day.
Once a day?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's not my whole purse. It's really my wallet, which could be in a pocket, or it could be on a desk, or it could be in the car.
What I have noticed, is, especially with females, is that because they don't have pockets, they don't have as easy access to things like wallets.
Yeah. No, it really helps to have a tracker where you can get a little beep to
see where you put it down.
Yeah, because sometimes you look right at it and you don't see it. Right?
Yeah, I know. It's like a negative hallucination.
Yeah.
You're not seeing what's there.
Right. So it helps to have the map, the tracker, and the visual sighting. Those three things together mean it's never lost. All right. So besides AirTags, how about radio, Pano radio?
Pano vision, you know, Greg will like that.
Pano Radar.
Pano Radar.
And this is not just Greg's radar.
No, Pano Radar.
Pano as in like panoramic.
Yeah, the idea is that the robots will have better eyeballs than we do because they'll pick up other frequencies. Well, let's look at Pano Radar as a new type of sense, for example.
Yeah, how do we teach robots to see? Robots don't have brains like we do. They can't translate those camera images into navigating their environment.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're looking at.
And vision is great, don't get me wrong. But there's certain things that vision can't deal very well with, like smoke screens. Or fog.
Sure. You can't see through fog.
Fire. Yeah.
Can't see through smoke. And yet we want the robots to go investigate these dangerous situations. And so we have to rely on other kinds of computer vision.
Yeah, LiDAR doesn't work either because that also is light-based.
Radar.
And smoke and fog can affect that.
Sure. So what does penetrate
radar,
smoke and fog?
Radar. We do have traditional radar that can see through walls. And we do have sonar.
Mm-hmm.
We do have sonar.
Which is sound. Uh-huh.
But when you use radar, it doesn't produce very good images. You're trying to convert radar signals into image. Not so great. However, sound waves and electrical fields, what sharks use for looking at things, are alternatives.
Okay.
Yes. And radio waves have longer wavelengths. Radio waves can easily go through fog.
Sure, they go through a lot of
and
things.
Smoke.
They don't go through cement so well.
And they way surpass our limitations of human vision.
Mm-hmm.
So a group at the University of Pennsylvania School of Engineering and Applied Science, or Penn Engineering as they call it, created this new type of vision system called Pano Radar. Mm-hmm. And it allows our machines to perceive their surroundings in 3 dimensions with incredible detail by transmogrifying simple radio waves into detailed 3D images, from radio waves to images. I guess it's like a form of sonar that's turned into visual information. Instead of sound waves, it's radio waves.
Right.
Bouncing radio waves.
I'm trying to think. There was a movie that had this kind of cave mapping technology, and they had a little drone go through the cave, and it sent out a red beam, and then that red beam allowed it to draw a picture of the cave. So that's kind of what they're talking about here, but instead of doing it with an infrared beam or something, they're doing it with a radio wave.
Yeah, right. Doing it with a radio wave. And a radio wave can create an image.
So the robot is basically sending out a radio wave and getting a feedback from the environment, what the shape of the environment is, and then using that information to construct a virtual simulation of the environment.
It's like a radio wave
that the robot
radar.
can then navigate.
Radio wave radar system that turns the information into a visual model. And I guess it depends on how fast it can do it and how accurate it is and how easy it is to do it as to whether or not this can become
Otherwise,
common.
that robot is going to miss the dish while it's trying to get it, and it's going to, that heavy metal hand is going to crack your crystal.
Yeah. Well, one of the ways in which they are able to learn environments is that if you wanted to learn, say, the inside of your house really well, there are repetitive, consistent patterns and geometries that we'll constantly run into. And it memorizes those so that you don't have to constantly re-see the obvious stuff all the time or reinterpret the data. So you can focus on the new data that may be entering into your space.
Oh, okay. So that's one of the things for robotic perception is first time you walk through, you do a first pass map. And then second time you pass through, you can start mapping objects that have changed and compare it to your first time through.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure. So they're doing AI learning plus this panoramic mapping.
It's a game changer, I tell you.
All right. So
how can they make that kind of supervision useful to us directly? That's what I wonder. Can we put that into our new glasses, XR glasses?
You want your glasses to tell you what the environment looks like so you don't have to use your eyeballs?
Yes, I would like to have a Pano Radar vision mode. Yes, I would.
Don't step there.
I wouldn't always use it, but I would like to have it as an option. Turn on Pano Radar vision.
I don't know, Al. I think you're downgrading your system. I think you already have a system that does better.
No, it's an and is near, Mrs. Future. It's not either or.
All right,
universe.
well, this research that we're talking about, Pano Radar,
yes.
You can go online to the Moby.com conference, which is 2024 International Conference on Mobile Computing and Networking in Washington, D.C., is this week. And if you go to drfutureshow.com and look at today's links, you can see the robot superhuman vision link and get the link to Mobicom.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, how's the live rocket? What's happening with the live rocket?
27
Not
minutes.
sure if that had anything to do with the aborted catch attempt.
What?
But it is something to note.
What's aborted? I thought it was a gopher catch.
We're estimating more like 24 miles, by the way, of the booster location based on where the helicopter is circling. So we're kind of looking at his flight radar.
I guess we need to catch up a little, huh?
Yeah.
This time, rather than attempting to catch the Super Heavy booster, SpaceX opted for a controlled vertical landing in the Gulf of Mexico.
If the planes are out of there, it might mean that we're going to see this thing go kaboom, and it might be quite spectacular because they will actually have to trigger flight termination system to do that.
Oh, no.
So let's keep all eyes on that. I'm going to just try to not look away too much. I'm going to try not looking away too much. I have to.
Whoa. So what are we missing here, Al?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Launch.
It looks like something's sinking in the
It
ocean.
20 minutes ago.
It looks like the booster is floating in the ocean and about to blow up. It's on fire. It's bursting into flames. Exploded. It exploded. It launched, but it didn't catch the booster.
No Megazilla today, huh?
They opted for a water landing. The booster rocket separated as planned and splashed vertically into the Gulf of Mexico.
The SpaceX stream cuts away as the booster peacefully tips over. There are other camera angles out there that showed it erupting into flames just seconds later, but that's to be expected with a bunch of rocket fuel sloshing around and flammable gases and very hot engines. Fire is inevitable at that point.
The big test today was to reignite some of the rockets in the ship. And once the ship was launched, they were getting feedback about being able to launch the next set of rockets to control the ship navigation, the trajectory and all that. I guess they weren't so concerned about catching the booster as they were about keeping an eye on the ship, and maybe something was not what they expected, so they figured they'd focus on the ship instead of the booster.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Starship spacecraft, equipped with pre-flight modifications, successfully relit its engine in space, endured a harsh re-entry process despite the removal of some heat shield tiles, and executed a controlled vertical landing with improved intactness compared to previous attempts.
Well,
smack my mama.
We mentioned earlier how the Australian police are training AI to analyze body-worn camera footage. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to find out how they can use this body-worn cameras in an attempt to put public trust and accountability.
Okay.
But no one's quite figured out exactly how to analyze the data super well just yet.
Well, most of the places that started out decided to stop using it because of their concerns for privacy violation. And what that means is that they were hanging on to all of this body cam data from the cops. 95% of it was just held and never viewed and never reused.
And maybe it doesn't need it to be. Maybe you just need it for when there's confusion. When you're trying to figure out who done it. Or
Well, the only case that they cited in this article where they've actually used the police body cam was in the case of an officer who's being tried for tasering an 83-year-old woman.
Ouch!
There you go. You see where you want to look at exactly what the situations were when these things happen. So it kind of makes sense.
And the idea is that these body cams are supposed to make cops more accountable. But as we know, if you don't have access to the footage, it's hard to know how to make it useful. And if you do have access to the footage, it's hard to know you're not violating someone's privacy. So those two issues are discussed rather poorly in this article, actually.
Yeah, they don't really
This
know
is
a
a
lot of the
classic
details.
article that seems like it was written by an AI and then edited by somebody who took out anything that was interesting or questionable and just left us with this long barrage of words that doesn't really say anything that interesting.
Well, whistle me Dixie.
Yeah.
Just sort of uses headlines to get your attention.
All right, well, then I
AIs in
won't.
policing.
Now that we've told you this is an extremely worthless article, I'm not going to say anything more. Thank you, Mrs. Future, for
That's
really
my
boosting
critique
this whole.
of this article.
Yeah, thank
Just
you.
clickbait.
Okay, all right. Well, I just wanted to say one thing before we leave.
Okay.
That the data analytics that are from police cams could be used for pre-crime.
That's the privacy violation.
Yes, they could predict which people are also at risk of committing a crime.
Wow.
As it's scanning people and taking facial recognition shots of everyone, it'll know who's likely to be the most criminal at that point.
Whoa!
That's the thing. It's that it can be used for such things, and probably will, because, look, we use our natural senses already that way. If a police officer's at a scene and he recognizes criminals when he sees them, because they do, right? You get to recognize certain behaviors and patterns. You're going to act on them. Now, if you even have more of a hypered sense of awareness, you're going to use it.
Yeah, this comes down to the principle of, are you innocent until proven guilty, or do the police have a right to assume you're guilty and then find something to pin on you?
Well, look, if you're a police officer and you have a sixth sense of thinking that this is a criminal before you, what are you actually going to do? You're not going to arrest them initially, but you will most likely be a little guarded in your response to them, and you'll be watching them with a wary eye. So I think that is the appropriate response to dealing with potential criminal behavior. If you see the potential of it, you're not going to act on it until something actually happens, but you'll be prepared for that if such an actuality does happen.
Well, it's interesting that your spin on it is a little different than the way I read the article. The
Yes.
article made the point that the AI's at the use of this data in the Australian Police Department was to target more criminals in the Indigenous population. And so the fact that perhaps more criminals exist in the Indigenous population led to that bias, but it also seemed like the people who were being imposed upon were the Indigenous people, and the police were finding more crime to charge them with. And they weren't finding that crime in other populations.
Yeah. Well,
it's like
it's a problem.
Everybody's a nail, and they have this hammer.
Yeah, and there's also the issue of typecasting, which you want to avoid, and certainly it is fraught with error. And there are problems, but I'm looking at pragmatically where it's likely to go, and as an assistant to somebody who really recognizes behavior patterns and helps them further refine their skills.
I am here for you, my human.
This will come down to predictive technology based in the AR, XR glasses that the police will be wearing. I think that's the direction. So in a sense, I'm not talking about necessarily what that article was talking about. I'm riffing off of it.
Sure.
In terms of where it's
in
taking
Santa
us.
Cruz, our police department here
They have
feel
gone into that.
really good about how much predictive policing has helped them handle the issues of crime in the neighborhood.
I agree. And
Because
it's an
they're
ongoing-
understaffed, and the population of good police is getting older, and it's hard to find new young people that are experienced. And so every tool that they can have that helps them avoid criminals or avoid crime is helpful.
Absolutely. It's great that we can go beyond this to actually be useful.
Craving something sweet? Indulge your senses at Spontaneous Confections, where every bite is a masterpiece. From our decadent 24-karat brownie to our creamy strawberry cheesecake, we create specialty pastries that impress and delight. Need something unique? We take custom orders to make celebrations unforgettable. We offer dietary options so everyone can enjoy. Check out our website, spontaneousconfections.com, and discover all of our delicious, edible art.
Deer fence, wood fence, livestock chain link, vinyl, iron fence, Cypress Coast Fence, Cypress Coast Fence.
I'm Kevin Donovan, the owner of Cypress Coast Fence, Monterey Bay Area's premier fence company.
And I'm Katie Donovan, Kevin's sister. I'm one of the project coordinators. I'll help you choose the best fence for your needs, and I'll be with you for every step of the project.
We work with local suppliers and employ quality craftsmen to build the right fence to secure, protect, or privatize your property. We've been in business for 15 years and have been voted best fence company for 7 years running.
Give us a call for your no-obligation consultation at 831-783-1500 or at cypresscoastfence.com.
We don't just build fences, we make good neighbors.
Deer fence, wood fence, livestock chain link, vinyl, iron fence, Cypress Coast Fence, Cypress Coast Fence.
Bentime Limoncello is a unique wine-based limoncello that blends quality and craftsmanship. Made in Santa Cruz with a premium California wine and brandy, it combines bright citrus notes with a delicate Chardonnay aroma and the richness of brandy. Perfect in a limoncello spritz or with ginger beer. Ask for it in your favorite restaurant. Find out more at benttimelimoncello.com.
Football at the Back Nine is back. We have Sunday ticket to enjoy every game, every Sunday. Breakfast sandwich and beverage specials too. Enjoy happy hour twice on Sunday from 10 to 12 and 3 to 6. Dollar wings all day Sunday and during Monday and Thursday night games as well. With the easiest restaurant to get to in the county, right off Pasatiempo Drive with lots of parking. Time to eat and watch football. See you at the 9.
Get hooked up with affordable cannabis at the locally owned Hook Outlet. The Hook is a friendly neighborhood outlet where everybody above the age of 21 can have access to the best cannabis products for the best prices in the county. Get friendly local service and great prices in person and online at the Hook Outlets in Capitola and Watsonville. Order online at hookoutlet.com and pick up 9 to 9, 7 days a week. Get hooked up at the locally owned Hook Outlet.
We did hear from Greg, who sent us a new kit called Rat Fink. It's about a 1932 Ford Roadster with a rat driving it. Thank you, Greg. We have thought about these things before, and now they're a reality. And I got a note from Irene Lambert in Democrats Overseas about how women's rights are not secured in the Constitution and that the U.S. still lacks guaranteed equal rights under the Constitution for women. But with only weeks remaining, President Biden can protect women's rights and gender equality and abortion's access to the Constitution if you fill out a form and paste it and send it to President Biden. Mm-hmm. So I got a note that we'll put that on a links page for that. It's about fully ratifying what's known as the 28th Amendment now. Now, while Biden is still in power. You need to do that soon, because without that, women won't have equal rights.
No!
Uh-huh. Did you ever see Get Smart and they had that special gadget, the cone of silence?
The cone of silence,
that you would
sure.
put over the top of you and whoever you're talking to, and no one else could hear what you're saying?
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Well, it kind of reminds me a little bit of that.
Uh-huh.
This is new AI headphones that put a sound bubble around you.
Okay. How did they
And
do that?
The idea is that it uses noise cancellation in a more spatialized way. It'll dampen the ambient chatter that's in the background. So if you're just talking to someone that's close to you, the background noise will be cut out. I guess that would be particularly helpful with a crowded restaurant. and you really wanted to hear the people at your table around you, and you wanted to cut out the ambient background noise. And this is an opportunity where you might be able to do that, where the background noise is interfering with your capacities to understand those you wish to share your moment with. This new AI system, the headphone, allows you to speak with a programmable radius of 3 to 6 feet. So you can move your dome bubble up to 6 feet away. And voices and sound outside of the bubble will be quieted, what they say, an average of 49 decibels. That's big. Quantitatively, that's the difference between a vacuum cleaner running and rustling leaves. Huge. So that will help a lot in terms of reducing the decibels of sounds outside of your bubble. Now, the researchers who are doing this are creating a startup to commercialize this technology. They're looking for third-party people to play with, to work with this. They say that humans aren't great at perceiving distances through sound, particularly when there are multiple sound sources. Our abilities to focus on the people in our vicinity are limited because of these background sounds like loud restaurants. So creating sound bubbles has not really been possible until we've had these new AI system that can actually learn the distance of each sound in a room and process that in real time. They say 8 milliseconds on the hearing device itself.
Interesting.
Yeah, now these are academics that did it. Have done this. The University of Washington, Professor Shyam Galakota, who's a professor in the Paul Allen School of Computer Science and Engineering.
And did you already mention the fact that their prototype was where they put 6 small microphones across the headband to evaluate where the sounds in the room were coming from?
So that they can cancel them.
Yeah, wow, interesting.
Yeah. I guess they could also isolate them and record them.
Should play them back or somehow?
Later,
Cancel.
like if you have a
do an inverse sound
noisy,
wave.
yeah, if you're a proper spy, you don't want to get caught, on recording people's conversations, so you record the whole thing and then separate it out later. Seems like they would do that too.
Right.
But for consumer use, you would just want to hear the people around you.
Right.
And focus on, or if it's a particular person across the room you want to listen to, just that person. But it sounds to me like 3 to 6 feet diameter is really where you want to go with this initially. They have the research that appears in Nature Electronics, and there are co-authors from the University of Washington, Microsoft, and a company called Assembly AI. Yeah.
Sounds like it's using beam focusing.
Beam focusing?
That's what these new Wi-Fi routers like Wi-Fi 6.E and 7, they use beam focusing so that when you walk through a room, the antennas, you have more than 3 antennas and you have multiple beams, and then they kind of focus the beam as you travel around a room. This way they're focusing the sound. And that's why they got 6 microphones. It's like having 6 antennas.
Well, that was just the prototype. Apparently, they used that to then generalize what principles they needed to pay attention to. And now what they've got are different soundscapes that are programmed by an AI to identify, well, which kind of room are we in? Is this a crowded room? Is this a outdoor space? They've got some particular signature soundscapes, and then they compare that noise signature with their sound source, which is whatever is this, what is the loudest thing? What is the closest thing? So they're figuring out from the sound signature which sounds are close. And then they're amplifying voices, which are particular frequencies within that soundscape. So they're really just having a whole robotized analysis of what the sound is so that they can lift certain things out of it and diminish others.
People that are blind, they have a super sense of sound, right? And they can walk in a room and they can hear the echoes of the wall. And so they know where the walls are and different kinds of things like that. So AI is perfect at picking up or being trained the way blind people are trained to reevaluate their environment.
Well, I tell you, it'd be really helpful for especially blind seniors. And I often spoke to my mother about noisy restaurants as a being real bane of their existence. As much as it's fun to be at a restaurant, not to hear anybody is no fun.
Yeah.
So this would make all the difference.
Yes, it would.
Also, it's interesting how they compare this system with Apple's AirPods Pro 2, because they also can amplify the voice of the person in front of you while reducing background sound. But with the AirPods, They work by tracking your head position and amplifying the sound coming from a specific direction rather than gauging distance.
Yeah.
And this means the headphones can't amplify multiple speakers at once, and they lose functionality if you turn your head away from your target speaker, and they aren't as effective at reducing loud noises that may be also coming from your speaker's direction, like from behind them or something.
I would think that Apple would actually have a walkie-talkie system with their AirPods where they could actually lock on the same Bluetooth channel and you're listening as a group. And so if you just...
Like those disco headphones?
Yes, exactly.
Well, if you have a group of folks that are all wearing compatible technology,
I think
why bother to get together?
Yeah, they'll sell more Beat headphones, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Beat it. Something that doesn't interfere with eating. You know, you want to be able to still eat.
Since when do headphones interfere with your ability to eat?
Well, microphones stuck in front of your mouth,
in a weird way?
No, microphone in front of your mouth, gets in the way.
I was imagining you putting your headphones instead of east-west, like north-south.
It kind of reminds me, one of the first wild ideas I heard for the use of the internet was for virtual restaurants, where you go to this restaurant and you sit down and you have a 3D screen in front of you for the other half of your table, and that's where your virtual dinner guest sits. And they could be located in a restaurant somewhere else, and they're also eating, and you are essentially sharing a meal together virtually. But you're sitting at a real table and you're eating real food.
I could see how it could interrupt your ability to eat.
Yeah, the idea was how can you create this experience without having to wear anything? Because nobody wants to wear headphones and microphones while you're hanging out with a friend at a dinner party or a group of people. Yeah, so... how best to do that for real, how to have a virtual dinner party is still yet to happen in any pragmatic. I'm sure there's been a number of experiments, but, I'd like to see that really work. How can we have a really decent family gathering where half the people aren't there or they're remote?
Yeah, bring your own dinner.
Yeah, it's a merging of maybe several dinner parties into one in a nice way.
Bring your own straw.
Yeah, maybe it's a Slurpee party. Oh, thank you, Greg. He sent a very nice picture of another animal. I want a Segway. Yeah, nice. Right. Wearing a helmet even. Little mouse helmet. Yeah, that's very doable. I see how a mouse could do a little tiny Segway. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, they go and raid the neighbors and come back. Yeah, perfect. Of course, they need a backpack to carry the stuff. But yeah, a lot of funny stories to this week, huh?
Yeah. You really had quite a jaunt to the internet this week.
Oh, yeah. There was another thing. Are you afraid of needles? You afraid of needles? I thought a lot of people might be afraid of needles.
This is a great article.
Right. And so there's a new approach of sucking, or I gave it away, of getting the blood out of your system without a needle.
Sucking it.
Well, that kind of works. But we're talking technology, my dear.
Instead of needles.
Technology for people with phobia of needles.
Mm-hmm.
Say goodbye to your phobias or needles. We don't need to do these needles anymore if this becomes more real.
And what are we trading in needles for? What do we have instead?
Well, it's kind of an artificial leech.
Oh,
a leech.
That looks like a worm.
You have this new leech technology. It will draw blood samples by employing microneedles, and a suction cup will replace the needle. And this is like a miniature worm from Dune.
You're going to trade in your fear of needles for a worm that's going to bite you.
No.
With little tiny teeth.
No. He's got lots of little micro teeth inside, and they just connect into your fingertip and start sucking.
It's much safer.
Yes.
It's actually a brilliant concept.
Microneedles in a suction cup instead of a large needle.
And this suction cup is about, maybe a quarter of a centimeter. It's very tiny. And then the suction cup has, apparently, it doesn't show the picture, but they describe that it has stainless steel teeth that pierce your skin and inhale the blood into using this little suction. Like, imagine that little plastic bubble that you can use for your nose, or they have a different one you can use for your ear. And so you squeeze the bubble and put it in your ear and then release, and the pressure sucks things out.
Yeah, okay.
So this is what's happening now with a little worm-like tube that has a tiny little mouth that you put on your finger, and it pierces your skin and then sucks the blood out.
Would you try it? You would try it, right?
I guess so. If I needed to extract some blood, it seems... Well,
Okay.
they say it's safer than a needle because you can't accidentally insert it too deep.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. I don't want to have it too deep a needle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could take blood. I wonder if it also can put stuff into your system, too.
Apparently. Why not?
I
Once the
guess.
hole is open.
Yeah.
That's what mosquitoes do. It's kind of like a leech instead of a mosquito.
Yeah. Flying hypodermic needles, mosquitoes. Yeah, I know.
All right.
Listen, we're almost out of time here. We got about
Dr.
30
Future
seconds
Show.
left. Thanks for listening, folks. Really appreciate your attention.
Fun.
Putting up with some of our techie weirdness.
Glad you're having a good lunch.
And thank you, Bobby, for being here. Glad
Yes.
your input.
Watch the watch. It's coming down right now.
Oh, it's coming down. Okay, let's go watch. Keep watching the Starship and Mars. Here we come.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great future now.
All right. Great week. Enjoy the rain. Bye for now.
Bye.
Seeing you. Au revoir.
3 p.m.
Now you know what time it is.
There we go. Okay, we're off.